Well, but it's the only. I wanted to ask Bill about that too, because like honestly, it's the only Polaroid rape scene I've ever seen in my life. It's a Polaroid, but it was PG.
Well, you don't give me any creative credit for that?
I do give you all the creative credit in the world for the Polaroid rape scene, because it's the audio that makes it.
Yeah.
And then, I think it's really cool. If you guys were sitting here watching it, you would have to agree that it's disturbing and it's PG. So that was my whole point.
With Charlie Daniels.
And Jack Daniels.
Yeah, it does have an original Charlie Daniels song before the devil went to Georgia and the guy got too big for anyone to afford a Charlie Daniels song if you were outside of Hollywood. So
I got to tell you how I got Charlie Daniels.
There you go.
Let's get right into it.
On the old days, we used to edit on moviolas, which took forever. It was not this digital stuff today. So I knew this guy named Louis Perlis, and he was in the music business. He was the biggest druggie you ever saw. The guy was stoned all the time. So he comes into the editing room, he says, "Hey, babe, this movie looks like it'd be great for Charlie Daniels." I said, "Forget about it. I can't afford Charlie Daniels, He said, "No, he's a good friend of mine." I said, "Oh, really? Yeah, there's a phone. Pick it up." He picks the phone up, calls Charlie Daniels, and gets him on the phone again. And so I told Charlie about the stuff, and he said, "Man, it sounds great. I'd love to do it, except, I'm on tour with the bus, and I'm booked solid, and I can't get it." So I thought that was the end of it, So anyway, about 2 weeks later, Charlie Daniels calls up, and he was opening a walnut, and the knife slipped and cut his guitar hand. They had to cancel it. So I had what's called a rough cut with no music, no effects, and I flew up to Nashville, And Charlie walks up to me, and he's carrying a tin can. "You must be Bill Grefe." So he's chewing tobacco. So anyway, Charlie wrote the original song and did all the music for us, because he had to cancel his tour. So that was just pure dumb luck on my part.
Sometimes that's all it takes, and I really honestly do not think that starts out good and ends really great as a comedy. Now in your career, you've been.
Just real quick about Whiskey Mountain. So you're the Florida guy. It's like Bill Grefe filming in Florida. This was filmed in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Was it like Stranger in a Strange Land for Bill Grefe to not be in Florida?
No, well at the time I wrote that story about two of my loves. Number one was I always had dirt bikes, and we rode all through the mountains, dirt bikes. And my second love was Civil War history. And I had a collection of Civil War muskets and stuff like that. So I dreamt up, I had the dirt bikes and the Civil War stuff, you're going to ask me a question?
The question about North Carolina versus Florida.
Oh yeah, well, I brought half the crew from Florida, and the rest of the guys were all North Carolina mountain guys, and we filmed about 10 miles from where they did Deliverance, and so those guys are real guys,
I had to laugh because I had somebody tell me today they were watching it when the movie ended, walking in the hallway, and they were like, "It's kind of like Southern Comfort." Yes. And I'm like, "Yeah," which is a good movie, but I think it was a year after, and both of them were kind of like Deliverance. I'm like, and they're, so I kind of like it because it was that hillbilly exploitation genre, which there weren't enough of them. I thought everybody would exploit it, and it wasn't a really big popular thing. So
well, I used some real mountain guys. Like, remember in the sheriff's office when he walked in, the deputy? That was, if you ever saw Deliverance, remember when they pull up to the gas station?
The dancer.
Yeah, that was the dancer. And then the guy in the hardware store that was selling the guns to him, he was the leader his name was Frank Rickman. And this guy was tough as nails, you know. He was in World War II, and he captured a German major that was from the First World War, and the German major only had one leg, and Frank told me that the German major said Dummkopf, you know, which is dumb head in German, and he said I whacked him across the head with my 45, and he went down with his leg, and he couldn't get up. But anyway, Frank, should I get into the story about the rap party? You know, we always have a rap party at the end of the film. This rap party was a rap party that you're not going to believe. We rented a place. Remember where they pull up in the car and the rednecks were in the building there? Well, we rented that place, and it was owned by a lady named Miss Pitty Pat. We call her Pitty Pat, like from the gal from Gone with the Wind with the curls, the nervous one. So we rented the whole place. We had an open bar, and so we're drinking, and one of the mountain guys on the crew his name was Booger. And Booger looked like a linebacker from the NFL. He had shoulders about this wide, you know, and weighed about 250. And he's at the open bar having a drink, and a van pulls up, and 4 college guys come out. And they go up to Miss Pitty Pat, we want something to drink. She said, I'm sorry, this is a private party. They said, we don't care, and they push her aside. And they walk up to the bar, and they bumped into Booger. Boom! Booger let him have a right hand, this guy. Boom! He's down for the count. And now a John Wayne fight starts. I mean, chairs flying, the whole thing. You know? And so between my crew and the mountain guys, you know, I said to Frank Rickman, who was their leader, I said, Frank, grab one of these guys, you know. So they were holding Booger. Booger was going to kill him, you know. So they're all holding Booger. So I said, Frank, you grab 2 of these college guys, and I'll grab one, and we go outside. Well, it was like 33 degrees, and not quite snow, but it was just muddy and raining. It was terrible weather. So we get outside, and this one college kid, the idiot, hit Frank. And they yell, someone hit Frank, turn Booger loose. So Booger comes out, and my poor wife and my oldest daughter were there. And the one kid hit me, and I'm wrestling with the kid, and we're in the mud, and my wife's got one leg, and my daughter had the other leg, and I'm pounding this kid. So, long story short, Frank Rickman literally bit this kid's ear completely off. And they're in the van, and they took off, you know, that was at the end of that fight. But anyway, but you're ready for a real story now? That guy, Bowser Patterson, was a real moonshiner, and he's the one that had the shotgun, remember, in the Jeep? So when
they're chasing him on the dirt bikes?
Yeah, and when I was doing what's called location scouting, you know, Frank Rickman, the leaders, take me around. He said, Bill, you want to meet the biggest moonshiner in the mountains? And I said, yeah. He said, well, I got to stop at this general store because, you know, Booger, he'll shoot us, you know, or Bowser will shoot us. So he calls Bowser, and so we go up, you know, and Bowser's sitting on the porch there, and he looks at me, you know, I'm a flatlander. They don't like flatlanders, you know, in the mountains. And he's giving me the eyeball, you know. And so Frank said, no, Bill's okay, bring out some moonshine. So he goes to the big dog house with an old hound dog, and the damn thing's on hinges, and he lifts it up, and he's got a 50-gallon oak drum full of moonshine, you know. And so we're sitting there drinking moonshine, and the conversation's going like this. Bowser, you're in real trouble now. It's them feds, they're going to throw the key away with you. In this conversation, he said, ain't me, I didn't do it, it's them damn Girl Scouts did it. And I'm listening to them, what are they talking about? So I find out that the feds are always coming in those mountains looking for moonshiners. Well, these enterprising guys came up from Atlanta and they said, listen, Bowser, instead of working your tail off making this moonshine, just plant these little seeds and you'll make a lot of money. So he had a perfect row of corn, perfect row of marijuana, perfect row of corn, perfect row of marijuana. And the feds come in, and he got off. The local jury let him off because he said it was the Girl Scouts came up and planted the seeds. So anyway, I could go on and on.
And you should.
Welcome to Whiskey Mountain, folks. I thought it was kind of funny because you did drag a few of the local, the Florida crew up. You grabbed, Bill Kerwin, and Pat Patterson had little roles in the film.
Director of Dr. Gore.
Yeah, and they were both, Bill Kerwin, his brother made some films. They both made some, and Bill was known as Thomas Wood in the H.G. Lewis films. So everybody knows him.
And Gretner, Gretner was the guy in the gun store.
Right.
And he directed a couple of movies.
Yeah, so all these guys were actually well known. They all did their own low budget thing, and there was the whole film community there. And you also worked with a guy we'd like to talk about right now, which was Doug Hobart. Barry Hobart was his nephew. We all knew him and loved him as Dr. Creep here. But tell us a little about Barry, because if I had the room and the flight, I would have flew him up. But you guys, worked together on Tartu and Sting of Death, and
Doug Hobart, he thought he was reincarnated from Lon Chaney. He loved horror movies. He loved all that stuff. So I don't know if anybody ever saw Sting of Death.
Oh yeah.
He was the jellyfish monster. Then Death Curse of Tar 2.
Yep.
He was Tar 2.
he was Tartu. Yeah.
Yep.
And but the funniest thing of Doug was when I did Impulse with William Shatner.
Oh my.
Well, Doug came up to me and he begged me. He said, "Bill, I got to play the corpse." And anybody remember the scene in the funeral parlor?
Yep.
He said, "Let me play the corpse, please." So
Oddly enough, Bill, that's what I was hoping the story you'd tell.
So I said, "Okay, Doug, you can play the corpse." So, it takes a while to light the place, and so we were doing all this, and Doug is in his heyday, man. He's dead as a doornail, and everybody was yelling at him, teasing him, trying to get him, and he was dead as a doornail. So we're all ready to shoot, and he wouldn't break. He was actually dead for all intents and purposes. And Shatner walked up to me and says, "Doug, your fly's open." My fly's open. And that's the only thing that got him moving, when Shatner said, "Your fly's open."